Hey, it's Tim again. Third video this morning. Want to welcome you guys back here at mine and Carolyn's house, sitting on the deck on the north side of the garage area, garage back here, and kind of want to pick up on my story. Um, I want to tell you some other things that were happening to me when I was in Lufkin. I was working for the railroad, and of course that's been woo in the 70s. That's a long time ago. But anyhow, uh, like I said, I was enjoying the job that I had, and I got to work daylight hours from 7 to 3, and so that gave me a lot of time off with Thaxton and Mandy. Thaxton and Mandy's my daughter-in-law. With a lot of times off with Carolyn and Thaxton, and so we got to do a lot of things together. And especially, like I said, we live fairly close to the lake, was able to go to the lake and fish and enjoy that uh, like we do still now. And so I'm looking forward to going fishing here again soon, even though it is getting cool weather. But I was confronted with situations and things that, working for the railroad, you had all kinds of people that worked there and all different levels in their life and where they were and what they understood and what they believed and all that. And so you never get off of what you believe and what you stand for. And so if you do that, then you will always be okay. So I was working there, and this guy was was kind of in charge of the certain areas where a certain place that I worked and everything, and he was being unfaithful to his wife, and I think a lot of the guys knew it there at work and everything, and he came to me one day, and he knew how I believed, and I'll tell you what doing right and what doing the right thing will man, it will just boost you to succeed in a lot of things in your life if you just do what's right. That's what I talked about this time that we're voting, that we're gonna get what you vote. You're gonna get what you voted for. You're gonna get for what you're standing for. Even though it may not seem like it at the time, you will reap whatever you sow. So I was at work. I thought I'd just throw that in. So I was at work, and the guy came to me and he said, if my wife calls and asks for me, you tell her this or you tell her that. He was telling me instructions. He said, I said, I can't do that. I said, I mean, it's none of my business what you're doing and the decisions and the things that you're involved in. Um, it's not my business, but now you're trying to make it my business because you're trying to ask me to do something that I'm totally against. He said, well, you just better do what I tell you to do. And he walked off. And see, that's the way the enemy is. This gentleman probably didn't know he was being used by the enemy, you know. But that's the way the enemy is. See, the enemy wants to bully you and threaten you if you don't do this. I could, and the thought came to my mind, I could lose my job if I don't do this. But then I came back into my right mind, and I said, well, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. And that's what I'm saying. That's the way the enemy comes to you, and he puts all these things in your mind. He makes you want to make the wrong decisions and do the wrong things because you think that it's going to hurt you and the outcome is going to be bad for you. But when you do what's right and you stand, especially you that are believers and even those that are non-believers, if you do the right thing, there's a law. It's called the law of reciprocity. Law of reciprocity. In other words, the things that you do, the good things you do will come back to you good. The bad things you do will come back to you bad. It works, the principle, even for Christians or non-Christians as well. So you want to do what's good because that's the return that you want. And like I said, I came back in my right mind. I said, I'm not going to do this when if his wife should call. So sure enough, the enemy will bring it back to you to try to make you flip, okay, make you go the other direction. And so he, he went off wherever he went off to, and whoever he went off with. And so again, I didn't need to know all that information, and so it was kind of a known thing there where I worked. But his wife called, and of course I was the only one there, so I answered the phone and I talked, and I said, yes ma'am, well, his what's his name there? I said, he said his name. I said, no, he's not here. Do you know where he's at? I said, no, ma'am, I don't. Do you know, who he went off with? I said, no, ma'am, I don't. And and she said, will you tell him I called? And I said, yes, ma'am, I will. So, I wasn't about to say to say that he was there and he was busy or whatever, or he was gone, or he said he was going to over here with so and so. I didn't say that. I answered it in the best truthful fashion that I could. And so um, he the gentleman came back, and so we made a beeline to my office and said, did my wife call? I said, yes, sir, she did. He said, so did you tell her what I told you to say? I said, no, I didn't. And I seen this terror come over his face. I seen this fear come in his eyes, And he said, well, what did you tell her? I told her, I said, you weren't here. Well, when she asked you where I was at, I told her I didn't know where you was at. And he said, well, I said to tell her this. I said, again, I'm not going to do that. Well, I can get you in trouble. I said, that's fine. If you want to say that you're going to do this because I won't lie for you and I won't cover up for you, then go ahead. And he stormed off, and I didn't uncover my brother in the sense, and not my brother, my human being brother, the physical person. I didn't uncover him, but I was not about to cover him with a lie and a shroud of dishonesty. I wasn't going to do that. And so he stormed off and of course the enemy came to my mind. Yep, there you go, man. You should have done that. I mean, it was no skin off your teeth. I mean, it's not something that, that would affect you, and now you're going to probably lose your job. So I had to come back to my right mind again, and I said, no, I'm not going to lose my job because I'm a man of principle. I'm a man who speaks the truth, and I'm not going to cover up for sin. I'm not going to cover. I don't want to even cover up for my own sin. I want to come clean. And he said, when I have sin in my life, so I'm not going to cover that up. And then, like I said, my right mind came back to me. So I sat there and I said to myself, everything's going to be fine because you did the right thing. And that's what I'm saying to you. If you do the right thing, the honorable thing, the just thing, then the right thing, the honorable things, and the just things will come back to you too. And you'll see. You mark my word. What's today? Today is November the 11th, and you mark it on the calendar that Tim said that everything was going to be okay, and I can mark it on my calendar, and that I would see that everything would be fine. Mark it on your calendar. So anyhow, it kind of rocked on. I could hear buzz around the office, and they'd look at me like, boy, don't ever tell Tim anything. Don't ever get him try to cover for you because he won't do that, And so it buzzed on, and so I didn't change my demeanor or my worth ethic working there. The things I did to the max. Carol and I have always tried to work with excellence wherever we was at, even if it was just wrecking the yard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we always try to work that way, and especially where we worked or people we involved, always be a person of excellence. Always do your very best. Well, you said, if I do my very best in what I'm doing, nobody ever recognize me. You don't need that recognition. You need the recognition from God. And you need the recognition for yourself that you did what was right and that you would continue to do what's right. And I would tell you a story later on in my life about what doing right. They gained me $100,000 worth of right. And I'll tell you, and I'll explain to you what I'm talking about there. And so anyhow, they were beginning to look at me, and I'd come home, I told Carolyn what's happening, and she said, "Wow, I'm glad it was you, not me." No, she was kidding with me. She said, "I know you did the right thing, and man, that's tough, but I know you're trying to get along and trying to be part." I said, "Well, I can try to get along and be a part of what's going on, but I got to have principles, and we got to have principles, and you got to have principles in your life too." So, like I said, I began to see people whisper, and they'd kind of look over at me like they'd give me the stink eye, so to speak, And I thought, okay, whatever. I'm just doing my job, I'm just pecking away at taking train orders, directing trains, and doing all that. And so I just kept on, and then I saw him coming, saw the guy coming, and of course the enemy said, "Yep, here you come, man. He's gonna get off all in your business. He's gonna fire you. He's gonna make things bad to you." And I could see people looking at me like looking at me, and saw him come in and said, "I wonder what he's gonna say to Tim. I wonder how everybody want it. Why is this? Why is so exciting to people sometimes to hear things that are bad, and something is going to bad happen to someone, or they want something to happen to you, to something bad, so they can talk about it or whatever. I never could understand that, and so never be that way, okay? Never be that way. So anyhow, he come barreling in my office, and he shuts the door. The door was usually open where I could see in the office and everything, and where I was working in there. Didn't had to be real quiet on the radio, talking, to the train, to the engineers on the train and stuff like that. So he came in my office and he shut the door, and I could almost look through the glass door, and people could say, "I wonder what's going on. I wish I could eavesdrop in there." And he came down and he sat down in front of me. He said, "Tim?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, I asked you to do something and you didn't do it. I asked you to. He said, "Actually, I asked you to lie for me." And he said, "I want to say to you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I put you in that situation." And he said, in so many words, he was saying, "Will you forgive me for doing that?" And he said, I'm sorry that I asked you to do that." He said, I see that you're a person of principle, and that, and I know you're a Christian, not just because you have a Bible in your car or a Bible on your desk or whatever. I know you're a Christian because of your speech and your demeanor, and he said, "I need for you to pray for me." I thought, oh my goodness, here the enemy had told me that, hey, this guy's going to come against me. He's going to give me a hard time. If you don't fire me, he's going to give me a hard time. He's going to run me off anyhow. And then the man comes back and asks me to forgive him, And so I thought, oh man, I can't tell you how I felt inside. First of all, I felt relieved, of course, but inside I just felt, man, it almost was bursting inside of me. You know what, folks? I think it just, that came inside of me and just filled all the cells of my body, all the nerve ends in my body. It was almost like I could have jumped over a mountain, and it was such a glorious thing. And see, and that was just such a little thing. When I say little thing, it could have been a big thing, but it was just a little thing of standing your ground and having purpose and doing the right thing. And you know what happened by me doing that? And I'm not patting Tim on the back. I'm patting God on the back, because God spoke that to me, and I've always been a person of principle. And so God said that to me, and it's like I said, I'm not patting myself on the back, and because I must admit, to the point I was kind of dreading to face this individual because of those things. But again, when that happened, That's just the same way as when you forgive somebody. When you give forgiveness to somebody, you will always have forgiveness coming back to you. Maybe not from that individual, but forgiveness will always come back to you. But when you forgive, then that releases something. You know, it works the same way. What I'm saying, that if you make a stand, that's just like forgiving the situation. That you're gonna stand on those principles, and those principles gonna make things right. So by me just doing that little thing, because you know why? I understand more why now. Because when you begin to cover up things and you begin to lie about things, you had to continue to lie. You had to continue to cover up. And then after a while, that's going to catch up to you. And see, that's what's happening in our world, where things are not seem to be just. It's because it's been a lie. It's been told a lie. It's been told a lie. It's been told so much a lie that the lie wants you to believe it's to be truth. Even if you believe it as truth, it's still a lie. It never changes its color. It's still a lie. And so you don't want to live a life of lies, because then you have to live a life of cover up, always covering up. And you had to remember that lie to do another lie, to cover up with that lie. Then you start blaming other people. Then you start condemning other people. Then you start saying they're at fault. You start bringing accusing words to other people. And see, that's what's happening. Accusing words tries to cover up, tries to cover the cover up, tries to cover up the lies. But you know what? Again, we're talking about the light. The light's going to expose that. I didn't realize at the time I maybe shining a little light on the situation. But you know what? It brought forgiveness for that man. In a sense, I didn't say that I forgive you, or he asked me to forgive you. He said, I'm sorry that I brought this into you and was trying to make it part of your business, because it's not. I said, sir, I don't know what's going on, but I pray that everything work out, because it's not good for you. It's not good for your family. It's not good for anyone else you're involved in, and it's not good for your health. And so I saw that begin to change in him. I saw like he was beginning to think about it. What was he trying to get that he didn't already have? Was he trying to get love from another woman or whatever? But at one time he told his wife that he loved her, and I could tell she loved him because she was concerned about him. So doing the right things can change a lot of right elements in your life, in the situation. And I don't know why I'm talking so much about this today, but I'm talking about what kind of life I guess that's what I'm talking about. What kind of life it brings. It brings a simple life, a pure life, a wholesome life, a healthy life, health mentally, physically, and also the spiritual side of it, spiritual life. It brings health to that. The very simple things will cause those things to happen. So, Carol and I life was so great for us. We had to work just like everybody else. We had an income just like anybody else. We had to deal with every issue just like anybody else. We had to deal with, if we had car problems, we had to deal with cars. We had, financial problems, and then we had to deal with it just like anyone else. But see, that was building an overcomer into us. And that changes would come. And down the road, I would meet, it's kind of like this. When you deal with situations, they're very small. But if you don't deal with them, they get to be very big. And then they're much harder to deal with. And when you're doing those things, they're building stamina, they're building strength into you. Because one day you may face a big situation that may appear on the scene to be big. Or may be a big thing that appears on the scene. That it's not grown for something little, but all of a sudden something big happens. But when you have dealt with those things that are little and you've overcome those things and you've wiped those things out, then you're able to face a bigger giant that may come. The big giant falls just as hard. The little giant falls hard, and the big giant falls just as hard as well. And they'll all fall at your feet, and you'll be able to walk on them, step on them, and they'll elevate you to a high life, H-I-G-H, light, life, L-I-F-E, that I'm talking about, high life. So those things, just, I guess what I'm saying, folks, just do what's right. That's all you got to do. It's real simple. How do you live an overcoming simple life? You just do what's right. And because the Bible says, people ask, what's the difference in the sins and all that? Well, sin is sin. It says, the Bible says, for a man to know to do good and do it to not, to him is sin. So anything that keeps you away from the goodness of God, keeps you away from the blessings that you have, it can be sin in your life. So I'm not trying to make a scale about what one sin is higher than the other. Some sins that you have in your life affects your body more than it does some things, and some sins affect your emotions and your thinking and all that. But sin is sin, and it's not good, and that's why we don't have any. We don't participate in it. If it happens, then we repent. It's just very simple. You just turn away from it. Say, I'm sorry, Lord. Tell yourself, I shouldn't have done that. Now I'm going to turn, I'm going to do what's right. So, that thing that seemed to be, it was not going to be good for me, eventually elevated me. We actually end up moving later, and I'll talk about that too. But, we were enjoying our friends, enjoying each other, going swimming at the pool, at the apartments where we was at. Actually, he loved it so much, and enjoying my wife. Life was so good, that we were in our own little bubble, so to speak. we was in our hedge of protection, and life was so good. And I'm gonna say to you too, life can be great for you. You can live a great life and have as many successes as you want in your life. If you understand some of these basic principles that I'm talking to you about, because you don't want things to be covered up, because the more they're covered up, the heavier the cover is on. And see, that's why I was talking about that root system that has got into the swamp. It's got into and that has its own system, and is covered by things. And then once these things are drained off and the light is shone onto the system and to the root system, then it will begin to dry up. And then that's where I said, when that swampy or low area in your life, the root system is now not there, you can fill it in, and then and it's compatible to build on. And I want you to understand that your life can be built on. But it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what you come through. Or it doesn't matter where you're at now. You can still be able to fill life in and be able to build on it, and it's going to be a better life for you. I'm trying to get you to the point to understand. And again, the scripture says that the man and woman, mankind that builds his house or build his life on the sand does not have a sure foundation. We want to build our lives, whatever element of our life we're talking about, we want to build on a firm foundations. Because the word says when the winds blew and the rains came, the one that's on the sandy soil, not a sure foundation, was washed away. But the one that built their life on a solid foundation, doesn't matter how much wind blows, might blow a few shingles off the house, may break a few windows, but the house will still be standing, and you'll still be standing. You'll be able to win over these situations. And that's where we're at. We're not a house of cards, and we're not a house built on sand. You and I are built on the sure foundation. The sure, get my words right here in a minute. The sure foundation that we're building our life on will bring us to be a victorious person in this life. We'll win. And that's why I call you winners. And that's why I see you as winners. And that's why I say that you have the winner swag walk when you walk with confidence and knowing that you're going to overcome. Knowing regardless of the things that we're hearing now, knowing how bad it is, these things got to be exposed. I mean, there's so much deep rooted things in, so many terrible things out there, is that we'll still be able to come victorious over that. So again, I say, get your victorious swag on as you're walking through. Get your victorious voice on. Let it be tuned. Let your praise, let your thanksgiving be on. Let your dance be on. Let your little happy dance. Let it be a big dance, big happy dance that we're going to overcome in this life. See, I won't live any other life but an overcoming life, because that's not life. If you can't live overcoming, that's not real life. That's not successful life. That's a failed life. And again, I speak to you, God don't want you to have a failed life. He wants you to have an overcoming life. Overcoming in every situation. So some say, well, I got a lot to overcome. That's okay. Just overcome. Just stand and be consistent, and you'll overcome. Again, all these things that are happening around us, all the noise we hear, all the cheating and dishonesty and lies and all that's going on. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to be dishonest. You don't have to lie. You can live a life, a victorious life, without all that. Remember what I said previously in some of the tapes, when people do that, they say, well, I got a trophy for being in first place, and they cheated, and they lied and did the wrong things to achieve that. That's not winning. That's still cheating. That's still losing. And those things will be uncovered. So hear me out now when I say those things that needs to be exposed will be exposed. I want things in my life. I want the light to shine on me, myself, to expose anything in my life that needs to change, that needs to be improved. Because I want to be a 3.0 Tim down the road. I want all the improvements. I've worked a lot on my health. I've worked a lot on, my weight, and I've worked a lot in this. I've worked a lot in my business, But I'm constantly working with the agents of the Spirit that helps me to be and helps me to work out these things in my life. Beautiful life, folks. You can live a beautiful life. Again, it doesn't matter what you've gone through and what you experience. It's not what you've gone through and what you experience. It's what the outcome is, and the outcome of your life is going to be victorious. You're going to be a winner on every hand. I said in one of my videos, I see you standing in the winner's circle. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that story about, what is it called? I want to say Seabiscuit or whatever. There was a story about, and the song said, "I will see you in the winner's circle with a robe of roses over you, and you will be called the winner." Well, I see you standing in the winner's circle. I may not see a bunch of roses hanging around your neck or whatever, but I see you in the winner's circle, because see, I want to see, and I do see, not with my eyes, because even when I look at myself and I look at people, I don't see that on maybe the physical makeup or whatever, but I know that with the spiritual eyes I have, that I can see those things. And I see those things in my life, and I see those things in your life. I want you to now have your eyes open. There's more with us than there are against us. Because greater is he that lives in me and that lives in you than he that lives in the world. He's talking about the greater one God lives inside of. It's greater than the enemy out here in the world. It's greater than that. And that's how we overcome, and that's how we win in this life. So I'll go today and win in all areas. Be victorious in your life. Everything you say and do. The word says whatever you put your hands to will prosper. Put your hands to prospering today in Jesus' name. Put yourself to health. Put your hands to health today, relationships today, love today, and you'll prosper in it. Well, I got to get back to my story, and I will continue that the next time and everything. Thank you again for letting me come and talk to you today. And I always want to say what my baby says. Carolyn says, we are eternal, and we will be eternal. I'll talk to you later. Have a supernatural and blessed day today. Thank you.